Well, good morning, folks. My name is Tim Mailer, meteorologist. Hope you're doing well today. We have the potential, and it looks like we're going to have a major winter storm, potential for blizzard conditions along the eastern seaboard today. Um, so in the southeast, especially, and with rare 20-to-1 snowfall ratios. We're going to talk about all that in today's forecast, of course. And appreciate y'all watching here. And if you don't mind, like and subscribe and donate. And there's some links in the description that take you to pages where you can donate to my channel. I appreciate it. And so let's get started with some analysis, current hazards, and I'm going to go over. First, I'm going to go over a couple different model runs of NAM and HRRR. Short range models and their depiction of the atmosphere here, and why I think we could potentially have some heavy banding moving through the area. They could drop some significant snowfalls where that sets up here in the southeast, especially. And we'll go over the potential for blizzard conditions along the Outer Banks of North Carolina as well, and you'll see why here shortly. So this is the National Weather Service current hazards, right? And so on this map, it's a pretty good representation of what's going on here. Well, it is a good representation, right? You have cold weather advisories in the, I don't know, the teal color, I guess you would say. Winter storm warnings in an extreme cold watch overlapping each other, right? I hover over this, we can see cold weather advisory, extreme cold warnings. In the green, extreme cold watch, and freeze watch, freeze warning, extreme cold watch in the parts of Florida as well, freeze watch. And then point south here, all the way down to Miami, um, freeze watch. And extreme cold warning already in parts of Alabama and Mississippi and parts of Louisiana. Points to the west, you have freeze, let's see, cold weather advisories and some high wind advisories here. Wind advisories parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and up to the north. I mean, just a lot of cold weather products. Some ongoing flooding here as well. Freeze watch in the southern Texas. So this page doesn't refresh very quickly, so I'm sorry about that. But come on back there. Uh, well, wish I could find a good page that would display all my stuff in a all this stuff in a accurate, quickly here. This National Weather Service page is quite slow. I anticipate maybe a winter weather advisory. You see, you got winter weather advisory further to the west here. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they expand the winter weather advisory a little further to the west here. We'll see what happens. Let's see, winter storm watch even down into southeast Georgia. So we'll see. Maybe they'll extend the winter weather advisory, but you can see where the highest threat is here. And on the coastal waters here, storm warning. So we still have the potential for a blizzard out here. I think that we may not meet the criteria for the duration of the event. It's like 4 hours, but we'll have to see. But either way, highly impactful event is going to be coming here, and we'd be mindful of the hazard this weekend. Cold, snow, just incredible amount of stuff going on. So we have the current radar here, and it's not showing a lot on the map right now. Although there may be some precip up here into parts of Kentucky, but may not be reaching the ground. And snowfall moved to the south here as part of the Arctic boundary push into the south, eventually swinging to the east here. So and temperatures pretty cold for most of the U.S. except for in Miami, and they're getting for a rude awakening here in the upper 60s today, this morning. So you can see where the Arctic boundary is here, where the cold temps, the teens border the mid 20s here, near freezing, even close to the Gulf Coast. All right. So the Northeast is still brutal, and so is the Midwest and Northern High Plains in the negative teens here this morning. So yeah, still cold, guys, and snowy. So for this weekend, we have the snow and cold, right? We got snowfall intensity, less and more, depending where they look at this legend. Cold intensity, less and more, green and dark green is more. So peak snowfall potential is generally on Saturday, maybe Friday and Saturday night. Most snowfall occurring between 4 a.m. and 4 p.m. Saturday. Hazardous wind chills, -5 to 5 degree range Saturday night and Sunday morning. So coolest wind chills you can see on this timeline are not along where the peak snow potential is, but wherever the winds do pick up, it's going to be brutal with blowing snow, which we don't get very often here. Okay, so driving conditions, people aren't used to driving in this. We got to be careful today with this weekend snow timing, and this was updated yesterday evening around 10 p.m. So latest graphic here. So here's the weekend wind chills. I made this a little bigger. Forgive me, my hat ain't on right. I just realized that. I love my hat. It says best papa ever on it. I'm my grandfather, 4-year-old granddaughter. Um, so today, wind chills aren't gonna be bad, but we get into the morning. You see how the wind chills Saturday morning, winds increase, wind chills drop, and overnight in the single digits in the Sunday, right? So overnight it's going to be the wind chills couldn't get a -6 and every 10 range up in the Blairsville area, even into Vidalia, single digits. And Sunday afternoon, of course, air temps are going to warm up and winds are going to decrease. But it looks like Monday morning wind chills will be cold as well because air temps are going to be cold. So um, pipe could burst. Um, and any snow that's on the ground and is falling will instantly stick on the roads because the air temps will be cold already. So let's keep that in mind also. So for today, temperatures will be pretty nice, upper 40s to near 60 in the far southern area of Georgia. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, teens to mid 20s to near freezing in southern Georgia. Precip chances are increasing in the north here. Snow, right? Oh my goodness, snow. Tomorrow, you see where the highest precip chances are. Um, and the sharp cutoff here as we go to the west and to the east near 100%. So this is where it really picks up with high temperatures, not forecast get above freezing till you get down in southern southeast Georgia. So be mindful of that. Tomorrow's going to be a big day weather-wise, so let's be careful out there. So as far as temperatures go, we talked about this. It's going to be cold this weekend, warming up some as we get towards the middle of February. I mean, the middle part of next week, excuse me. Near normal to slightly below normal temps with shots of cold air moving through and maybe getting above normal for a few days here as we approach the middle part of February, but overall not warming up nearly as warm as it was prior to this. So, and you saw the climate outlook, or you'll see it anyway, uh, still forecast to be below normal as we go through the mid part of February here. As far as the cold, one of the biggest impacts we haven't really discussed, I guess, is the impact on the citrus crops down here all the way into southern Florida. So notable impacts for all the state of Florida, for vulnerable populations, which means the elderly, especially. A lot of retirees live down here, and agriculture interest and dangerous wind chills, especially along the eastern seaboard as the storm cranks up. And there's a low temperature expected February 2nd. So -10, -20, -25 in the northern part of the country, and along in the northeast here in parts of the Midwest. So even along the Gulf Coast in the 20s here. So be mindful of this. And I forgot to put my mic close. So yeah. So here's the latest key messages for the Eastern U.S. winter storm, major winter storm. Will deepen off the Carolina coast, and you can see the different snowfall forecast and impacts here depending where you're at. Impacts are going to be highest into parts of North Carolina and along the coast here. Right along the Outer Banks may be not quite as high impact because it may be too warm to start out with. And then record cold, coastal flooding, and the blizzard potential on the Outer Banks here. Even a couple inches of snow blowing around, you could have a ground blizzard too. So we'll have to see how that goes. But the heavy snow and wind from the southern Appalachians across the Carolinas and southern Virginia, risk for more than 8 inches of snow is over 50%. So yeah, and then to parts of the New England coastline as well. So this is the HRRR. This is the going out 48 hours, which arguably it's not the best when it's at this temporal range, but I want to show you this anyway. We have kind of the same scenario, although this model doesn't want to set up the banding in the same areas here. 700 millibars, dry air, wrapping around this feature, 700 millibar feature here. Wants to set up some banding, depending on which model you look at between the two. The banding's in a different spot. And we switched the HRRR to about this time on the radar for the south. So 15Z is 15Z here. So it matches up pretty well with the intense bands here, right? And just a lot of banding with this, right? A very dynamic system. You see how it resolves this boundary here. This strong band, a narrow band here. If we move into the Georgia, you have maybe a band out here in parts of Alabama as well. So wherever those set up to, we could get some heavy bursts of snow. You see some intense bands right along where this is moving south here into Savannah as well, and Dublin. You see Athens and all these areas in between into North Carolina, South Carolina, different heavy bands of snow. So some people could see, at least according to this model, a lot and not as much. So we move into South Carolina here. Sorry guys. South Carolina. You see what I'm talking about here. This push of moisture going this way as well. Along where this is pushing, you have the heaviest snow and other bands of snow in these areas, right? So quite a dynamic system here. Then these bands in the system rotates out. And then we move into North Carolina. Permit me here. It switched back to 6Z for some reason. Stand by. Yeah, so this is Saturday. You see the banding setting up here, right? And then the system really wraps up here. It's depicting maybe rainfall here out in Cape Hatteras. I don't know. Let's look at the temperature profile here real quick. Yeah, so the temperature profile here, maybe marginal rate out here. I don't know, that's an interesting scenario to watch. The cold air pushes further to the east here. Go to the HRRR. Let's go to the radar. Go back to 6Z. Sorry, guys. Do this on the fly here. All right. Yeah, we'll have to see. I think as this moves away, you're going to get the heavy band is going to push offshore here. So wherever this, right now, they may have initially some rain, but it'll change to snow pretty quickly here. Pretty intense banding. Like I keep talking about this, but these mesoscale features are not modeled well by the global models. So that's why I think it's important to look at the regional and high resolution models at this point. The globals give you a broad idea, but the NAM and HRR are, if you look at them together, they're good tools in your toolbox when you look at the short term. So it's neat too if you look at this, some lake effect streamers um, off of Lake Michigan here as well. Pretty cool little bands here swirling around. So kind of a neat feature. And you see the HRRR down here does want to have some banding down here in the Florida as well as that moves to the south. So very dynamic system. I think it's going to overperform, if you ask my opinion, given the banding, but it could be a bust or boom depending where you're at with this banding sets up. So I was showing you this a minute ago in the intro. So this is your 700 millibar flow, right? And it gives us a good indication of the moisture in the atmosphere, okay? And when you start this off, this is way before the event. So I'm going to stop this here. And we go towards Friday night to Saturday morning. This is Friday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, okay? You see this 700 millibar vorticity moving through the flow here. Dry air accompanying it, right? But you see what happens here around this time, around 15, 16Z, 9 or 10 in the morning. You see some enhanced lift going on here, right? And with maybe snow bands setting up here along this area, all right? And you see the lift continuing in this area, right? So when we switch over to the NAM 3-kilometer radar, 6Z, you see how this higher precip high reflectivity values accompany that, right? And then you have the low developing offshore here. So energy is initiating here, and then it transfers eventually offshore, right? But you see this line of relatively heavy snow here moving to the east, southeast, maybe into northern Florida here. So the NAM at least is showing a pretty heavy band of precip, generally east of I-75 and then points south here towards Savannah even, right? And this may be, you see this banding setting up here? Pretty intense bands, just all in different areas here. Energy transfers to the east here. You get the system really wrapping up and moving out. So we even, now going down into Florida here, let's take a look here real quick. There's a potential here for some ocean effect snow in the Tampa Bay area, which is crazy, okay? But can you imagine? Maybe some heavy bands of snow here along the west coast of Florida. We'll have to see if this plays out, but it would be an interesting scenario if it does. And when you get into Sunday morning, all that moisture kind of pushes out, and then you just get really cold temperatures here. So this is the NAM 3 kilometers. So I'm going to go with the HRR next. Now here's a pretty interesting graphic. I think this is a winter weather briefing, daily briefing application that shows where the most extreme impacts are. And of course, this is day 1 through 3. All right. So we got some ongoing snowfall and ice maybe up here in Iowa, Nebraska, Minneapolis area, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, and up into Montana, and the higher terrain up here as well. And of course, you got some banding here in the Chicago area during this period, but you can see the highest threats here are generally from the Warner Robins area to Atlanta, Athens, Augusta, Columbia, Greenville. You see the red here, major impacts, and points to the east here, Pamlico Sound, Gulf Rock, and all these areas here are in the purple, possibly a blizzard warning. This thing doesn't refresh that quickly. Sorry, guys. Chesapeake Bay, and maybe some impacts here further to the west, but minor impacts. It's a winter weather area, but not high impacts. Okay, so then we get right on the coastline here. The graphics aren't that they're kind of pixelated, but you see where the purple areas are there. So right, and this refreshes slow. Sorry about that. But so day 1, you see where the highest impacts are, generally in the higher terrain here. Okay, right. Day 2, of course, that's tomorrow. Um, see the bullseye here, and you go day 3. That threat moves further to the east, which is Sunday, right? And we go day 4. Um, this is the winter weather outlook. The possibility for some snow up here in the New Brunswick, Halifax area. Move this over so I don't have to bend my neck here. So yeah, this is a neat graphic. I hope you get something out of this here. I just found this the other day. So here's a experimental probabilistic snowfall range amount as of 1 a.m. today for the Atlanta area. You could see the highest amounts are in northeast Georgia, possibly 3 to 6 inches here, all along the line from Blairsville to Athens and points south. And there's a sharp cutoff here. You get to middle Georgia and points to the west. Uh, between a half inch and 2 inches, between a half inch and an inch here in central Georgia, southern Georgia. So as you go east, you can see the amounts increase quite dramatically. Columbia 4 to 7, Florence 5 to 9, Charlotte, Troy. So this is where the totals start to increase. Like I said, where banding sets up, and the models are hinting at this, we could have sharp differences in the accumulation totals depending on where those bands end up setting up shop. From the Birmingham, Alabama area, there's still a possibility of getting some snow as well here. Maybe parts of Alabama getting between a trace and half an inch. Anniston, Wedowee, Griffin, of course, Atlanta and Rome. So, yeah, so we'll just have to see how this ends up playing out, but the possibility exists to get some snow even this far west. From the Greenville, Spartanburg area, you can see here, this is a point further east of the Atlanta FFC, Atlanta FWFO, up in the North Carolina, South Carolina border, North Carolina, Tennessee border, 6 to 10, depending where you're at, Johnson City, Hot Springs, Sam's Gap, all into parts of North Carolina and South Carolina here, between 5 to 9 inches. Quite a wide range up here, 3 to 11. That's a wide range. So there's some more uncertainty in Greensboro, Clemens, and those areas. Quite a wide range here. That's a wide, like I said, that's boomer bust if you ask me. Looks like the probabilities of you know, down here it's not nearly as wide, right? But you get up into parts of North Carolina, yeah. So you can see on the map what the snowfall amounts are projected here. So I'm not going to read off every city. So let's just look at this and to see what city you're at, and you can see the forecast as of 1 a.m. today. And this is from the Charleston, South Carolina, the forecast office, showing the snowfall probabilities here. This is the expected snowfall amount. This is in a range, so sorry about that. But Charleston 3, Georgetown 6, Myrtle Beach in the same area here, same amounts. Further to the south, Hinesville, half an inch, Vidalia an inch, Dublin an inch. So those amounts aren't that high, but of course, if you move more to the north here, the amounts go up pretty quickly here. From the Morristown, Tennessee area, forecast office, Gatlinburg, maybe as much as a foot of snow with this event through Sunday, February 1st. Greenville, Johnson City, yeah, the highest amounts in hard terrain here, and points to the east. The points to the west, not quite as much, half an inch up to an inch to 3 inches. Jonesville, Tazewell, Knoxville, these areas, Murphy. So, quite a wide range here, but you can see where the different amounts are on the map. This is a graphic from the Wilmington, North Carolina forecast office. Myrtle Beach, 6 inches, Georgetown, 6, Hartsville, 8 inches forecast. All these different areas between like 7 and 9 inches of snow expected with this event. Somerville, 4 inches here. As we move up to the Newport, Morehead City, North Carolina area, this is where I know some of these graphics show the range. I apologize for that. Between 5 and 11 inches, 5 and 10, and along and out on the outer banks here, the amounts could be higher. So just this is a really jackpot area for if you want snow. So yeah. So as of right now, really, I think this is probably the highest totals possible throughout with this event, at least as of right now. This graphic from the Raleigh, North Carolina forecast office. So this is the official forecast, right? Between 7 and 9 inches all throughout most of this forecast office area. So quite high amounts for this area, and in general for the South here. So let's be mindful of this as they travel this weekend. Moving northward into Blacksburg, Virginia forecast area, you can see the totals drop off quite dramatically as you get into parts of Virginia here, Martinsville, South Boston, 6, 7, and into North Carolina as well, Rocky Mount, 7 inches, up to the north, Carterville, Lexington, Lewisburg, between 1 and 2. And you can see your town on the map if you live nearby here. Hopefully you know where you live. And there's Blacksburg right there. So, yeah, still an impactful event, even with 1 inch of snow, with how cold it's going to be. Not going to melt very easily. So this is a graphic from the Wakefield, Virginia weather forecast office. And you can see other amounts down into the south towards North Carolina increase to maybe 10 inches. Further north along the Virginia, Maryland coastline here, maybe right along the coast, Franklin, Emporia, Southfield, 5 inches, Cape Charles, 5, Ocean City. But you see they taper off quite dramatically as you approach the Washington, D.C. area. And this graphic from the Baltimore, Washington forecast area shows you where the sharp cutoff is here of potential snowfall. Nothing expected in the Washington, D.C. Proper, but further south, maybe an inch or two, and points eastward here. So moving up to the north here along the eastern seaboard, just right along the New Jersey coast, Virginia coast, Maryland coast, up into parts of Rhode Island, maybe approaching New York City, maybe getting a little bit of snow here. And this from the Mount Holly forecast office. These mountains may be skewed based on the fact that this system hasn't moved through here yet, but it looks like based on this that it already has or has started to. So yeah, that's a pretty sharp cutoff here. So I would say this graphic is a little bit subject to change based on the track of the potential winter storm for this area. As of right now, between 1 and 7 inches in the forecast area here, depending on where you're at. Nantucket looks like the most, of course. Maybe Boston getting an inch. Plymouth 4 inches here. Hyannis 4 inches. So these totals may be adjusted as we get closer, but I want to show you this graphic just so you had it. When we talk about the day to 14 hazards at 6 to the 12, thankfully not a lot going on. No risk of heavy precip during the period. No risk of heavy snow during the period, at least right now. Winds may be a problem the 6th to the 8th in the northern to the U.S. and the east parts of the eastern and northeast U.S. and along the Appalachians and some of the Great Lakes here. Temperatures look to remain below normal, possibly here the 8th through the 12th and 8th to the 9th, especially in the mid-Atlantic along the Great Lakes and parts of the northeast corridor here. So holding on to the colder temps here along the east, generally east of the Mississippi River here, with the exception of like Alabama and Mississippi. So if you like the cold, then move to the eastern seaboard, I guess, huh? As far as the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we maintain this below normal temp probabilities here, east of the generally east of Mississippi, and west points west either near normal or above, and near normal to above, and most of Alaska is going to be potentially above normal here, as well as Hawaii and Aleutian Islands near normal to above. Precip, most of the nation looks to be trending toward below normal chances of precip, with the exception of far southern tier of the U.S. and the northern tier, and maybe along the eastern seaboard, Alaska and Hawaii above, and Aleutian Islands above the near normal here. So we maintain the ridging out west in the 8 to 14 day time frame, the 6th to the 12th, and we talk about this with the 8 to 14 day hazards. Below normal temps look to be maintained here during this period for the eastern third of the U.S. really. And then Alaska still maintaining above normal temps, with the exception of far northern Alaska, Hawaii above, and Aleutian Island chain above here. And the 8 to 14 day precip outlook all on the eastern seaboard, along the Mississippi Valley, River Valley, Ohio Valley, below normal precip chances. Central U.S. In the gray here, depending where you're at, near normal, above in points north and south of that, and below possibly out west here. Near normal to above precip chances in Alaska, above looking somewhat likely here in Hawaii, and above in Aleutian Island chain. So this is the week 3 to 4 temperature and precip outlook of the 7th to the 20th. At least right now, this will be updated today. They're maintaining below normal temps chances in the eastern part of the U.S., equal chances in near normal in the central U.S., and above out west. Above, equal chance to below, depending where you're in Alaska. Above in Hawaii, and above the equal chances in the Aleutian Island chain. And look at precip. Most of the country has equal chances of above and below precip possibilities here, and above in the northwest U.S. into parts of the Intermountain West, equal to above in Alaska, depending where you're at. Above in all of Hawaii, expected here. Aleutian Island chain, equal chances of above and below precip here. So, in closing, I appreciate y'all watching today. It's been quite a challenge getting up so early and forecasting this every day. I hope you all really get something out of this. And, be safe out there. I know I say that every day, but I want y'all to be safe. Be careful. Protect life and property this weekend, wherever you're at. If it's going to be cold, it may already be cold, but and where it's going to snow this weekend, make sure you're prepared for that as well. Don't try to drive in it, especially in the South. People don't know how to drive down here when it snows like this, especially when it's so cold and it sticks almost instantly. So be careful out there, guys, and God bless.